cool. Who here knows about design, is interested in design already from the jump, so I can get a view on that? Cool. You also, the rest of you, have other things to learn from this, and maybe you might be interested afterward. So, a bit about my background. I'm Joe. Hi. And I was born and raised in the Bronx, like uptown, like all the way in the corner, like right before Westchester. And I spent most of my childhood in the South Bronx, and I was scribbling away in notebooks, and people thought that was art, or maybe they saw it was a little more technical, and I was playing with Legos, and they told me architecture or engineering. No one mentioned industrial design, because no one knows what industrial design is. So as part of that, this is like middle school JoJo's scribbles, and I was drawing away about like different handheld consoles that I wanted, and like, man, this slider phone would be dope if it had a keyboard like this, which all seems completely archaic now. There's like an antenna on these things. I don't remember the last device that I had that had an antenna that was exposed. But when my parents saw that, they just thought like, oh yeah, this is like kind of artsy, like maybe you're an inventor. That's not a job description. I can't get a major in inventoring. But it wasn't until sophomore year in high school when I was up way too late on Wikipedia, just going deep in circles about reading profiles on people. I accidentally found the profile for an industrial designer, and I saw that blue highlight that linked me toward like, oh my God, there is a word for the thing I've been doing for years in my notebook. Like, there's a word for this that isn't inventoring. So after high school, I found out about Parsons, which is stupid expensive, but the education's worth it, and it's really well known for industrial design, although it's more known for fashion, and it's right here in the city. You should go visit it. They hold dope events and stuff. And for about 4 years, I lived in the workshop, like slept over in the workshop. I was still living in the Bronx and commuting all the way down to the complete other end of Manhattan, but to make those projects work, I was like, hey, homie, can I like shower in your dorm and then run back to the wood shop so I can finish my chair project before the class? It wasn't great in that sense, but it was great in what I learned from it. And almost immediately after, I got to work at Tomorrow Lab, which is where I work at now. There's swag in the front. There's like stickers and business cards and whatever. But this is a great group of people. It's an innovation studio is the way that we put it. It's an innovation studio for hardware startups usually. But more and more now, we're getting people from larger companies like Hasbro coming to us when they have an idea that they don't really know how to make it happen, or they don't have the right staff for this new, usually internet-connected idea. And so this is a group of about 10 to 12 people fluctuating with interns, and we figure out how to make people's ideas. The difference with Tomorrow Lab, and there's a couple other studios in the city that are like it, but not many, like Pensa, they're nice. It's that we have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, and designers in the lab working together from the very beginning of a project. And what's more common is you'll have an industrial design studio or an industrial design team inside of a company, but their communication lines are separated. If it's a studio, the studio will finish a project, and then some other team gets brought on to do mechanical engineering, and then those mechanical engineers look at that design and like, that's insane, we can't get it to be that thin. This is pretty useless or held back because of how much time is spent fixing it. Tomorrow Lab, that's a mechanical engineer. I'm here, and the electrical engineer usually sits here. Like if I need to know something, if it's realistic or what I should be using, I just like shout at the office. It's not even an email down the hallway. So that's why we're different. But what even is industrial design? And there's no like quick, clear answer. It's a lot of things. So my teacher from Parsons used to say, design is informed decision making. I think that's like a nice, cool way to do it, but doesn't really like cut deep. Charles Ives, who I'm going to get to later, said, design is a plan for arranging elements in such a way as best to accomplish a particular purpose. And so you can see we're talking about like testing and thinking about problem solving like very specifically on a granular level that most people won't bother to do. So I have thought way more about chairs than I ever want to again, because I'm never going to design a chair. But from school, I know when something is uncomfortable and why it's uncomfortable, and then I'm just in a room like, wow, that's a terrible chair. Why is it in this restaurant I'm paying for? The last is if architects design the house, then industrial designers design everything inside. So all these small items that are filling up the room, someone who is either specifically in their job description an industrial designer or could be called one is making those objects. So industrial design is the professional practice of designing products used by millions of people around the world every day. Now that part is important because industrial design is different from maybe an artist who's doing a one-off because this is made for mass manufacturing. And you also have to think about how your product is solving the problems of large quantities of people that you have to think for, but maybe won't meet or have the direct experience of, which is why the note that I had in the beginning of having people from different backgrounds, or which is an unfortunate number, even just women in the office is very important. And I wish more design offices would hire more women because that's half the population whose opinion you're not getting on a product that you may be targeting for them. Then the other half, industrial designers not only focus on the appearance of a product, that's like the biggest slight that we get, like we just make it pretty, but also on how it functions, how it's manufactured, and ultimately the value and experience it provides for users. So like in the entirety, what is this product going to be and how does it fit into someone's life? Real loud, real quick. Does anyone know like who designed this? Who made it? OK, Apple. More specific than Apple, who designed it? So he actually is one of the few industrial designers that shows up, and it's Jonathan Ives, and he's kind of like praises, oh my god, his things are amazing. They're really, really cool. But anytime that you're told that one person made something, I don't know if I can, it's bullshit. You can cut that out if you need to. So people assume Jonathan Ives. And he is dope, and he does oversee a lot of the design for Apple. He's been doing it for years. So when I first found out about him in high school, I was like, that's the dude who made my iPod. Oh my god. And now thinking of a click wheel, that's so archaic. But really, it's this team of 30 designers, which is bigger than most companies have, that get no face time in any interviews. They're not part of the story. And that's really what it is like for a lot of industrial designers. You don't get to go out and say, I did this most of the time, except for like to your friends.
You want to take a short break and let the people
Yeah. Let's just file them in. I'll just hit on this last note before I continue with them sitting down. Also, thousands of engineers. Apple has thousands of different kinds of engineers around the world who are figuring out how to apply their designs. And that's also a part of this that's unfortunately overshadowed. Remember that guy who was across from me in the office? He helped me actually figure out how to do my pretty drawings. Engineers, yay. But people have always been making, like always. It's one of the defining characteristics of what is a human, is the fact that you problem solve and make things in order to do it. So this is from 800,000 years ago in China, and it's a hand tool, hand axe, where it was used as like a sharp edge that someone had to take a rock that was not that shape, make it that shape to solve problems that they had. Then we're going to fast forward like a crazy amount to the Industrial Revolution, which is where our field really is formed. And this has been a focus in the Industrial Revolution on how do you make things more efficient and how do you make them in mass quantity. So here you have Jennings, who is the designer of the first dry cleaner. And so how do you make a machine that is able to do this problem, solve this problem very quickly, and then make that machine in a high enough quantity? These were the kind of questions that were happening during the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. Then you have the 20th century, which can broadly be described as designing for people. This is where you have good and bad from that phrase happening, designing for people. On the good side, you have people considering ergonomics and sustainability. How does this fit into your home? How does it fit into your life? Is it comfortable to sit in this chair for extended periods of time? Is it good for your world? Charles and Ray Eames, a husband and wife team, were actually working on things like using plywood as a more sustainable material from other materials that they started their career with and people were using before them. On the bad side of this, you had more things creeping in, like styles, where maybe you don't need a new sharpener, but someone's going to make a sharpener that looks like an airplane. And it's all swoopy and like looks like it goes fast, but it's a sharpener that stays on your desk. That's pointless, but you did convince someone that it's a cool style they may want and that the things that they had were outdated. Always good and bad. And now we have the present, which is, OK, 21st century, now that we can make anything, what should we be making? And that's more of like a moral question you should be bringing to the design field. Like, really, most things are possible, especially now with like electronics getting smaller and smaller, and we're embedding it into so many things. But one, is it actually solving a new problem or just solving it in like a cool, kitschy kind of way? And two, what happens afterward, which is the question we've been asking more and more now, and I challenge you to ask. This is the robot arm, the second or third version of it that Apple made to take apart their iPhones. And so now they're thinking about what is the recollection process. So when you send in your phone as like a trade-in program for the new phone, if you're sending it to Apple, they're taking it to this machine, which from the iPhone 4 Plus and after, I think, they can take back apart and try to use for scraps and like recycle the metals and stuff. Their process isn't 100% sustainable, but like, unfortunately, this is a bar that most companies are not meeting. How am I doing on time? OK, that'll be good. OK, so our process, Tomorrow Labs workflow, I get to work on a bunch of projects. This is just 3 projects in the last year that have absolutely nothing to do with each other, and that keeps it exciting for me. So on the far left, you have a like dirt sensor stake that is going to work in a mesh on a farm, and over acres and acres, it's going to take samples of the dirt at 3 different depths to tell you, the farmer, which section needs water or different kinds of nutrients. In the center, we had an award key for the city bike. They're all over. You probably used one. And this is for the bike angels who volunteer to take bikes from where they are left to where they are needed. They build up points. And as a way to reward them, we designed this special key that can work to unlock the city bikes. And top 400 crazy, insane cyclists who had a stupid amount of points they'll never be able to like spend all of, and got those. And then here is this VR experience, projecting experience that we made for National Geographic. I said VR because originally a marketing team came to us saying they wanted to make a VR experience.
Sorry, can you explain VR? Because maybe not everyone
Oh,
knows what
sorry.
VR is.
So virtual reality, those are all the goggles that you're seeing where there's 2 images in front of your face, and you feel as though when you look around, there's head tracking, and you're in the room. This is not that because a marketing team heard that buzzword and wanted to do that. And then we said, here's a much more realistic way how to do that, and at cost, because we had to make 30 of these helmets. So there's a projector that sits inside this helmet. There is a theater of people. We synced up all the projectors, got everyone to put on the astronaut helmet, and to pitch the space show for National Geographic, when they closed the helmet, all the projectors projected in a curve the view of space and this clip with like soaring orchestral music and a voiceover, and we got people excited for it. This eventually like went and traveled to multiple countries to do that presentation. So I get to work on weird things. None of them are related. It's fun. But it all starts with really, really terrible sketches, which is why when we're going over there, be OK with bad sketches. This is just scribbles in a notebook. I'm going to show you how it developed into a final product. But it almost always starts bad, or like, oh man, it's like 1 a.m. and I just remembered a thought that I needed for my next idea. Let me just grab a notebook, scribble something quick so I don't forget it, go back to sleep. Then there's brainstorms, which is what we're going to be doing today. You break off into teams. Multiple people are sketching on how to iterate it, how to have all the touch points that you would need on a product. Like, where are all the locations for the interactions? Just through a series of drawings, iterate on the character. So this was for a children's toy that was going to have a Alexa-like AI inside of it, but it's push to talk, so it's not always creepily listening. A big button on its belly was what it eventually became, so that they press it, they can talk to it, they can play games, they can ask questions and learn things. And then there was going to be a series of touch sensors around it, so that there's multiple points of interaction for the games that they were going to play. But we had to figure out, what is that character? And why would a kid care to keep it around? So then there are phone models, which are also start off really terrible and they get slowly more better. And this is just taking like cheap, whatever, scrap together materials, foam models and cardboard, cut it quickly, glue it together. Does it represent the volume and the interactions that you want? Better drawings. This is like, yay, now I can actually show this to the client. Once we have all of our key points from those versions of testing, then we have like a concept, which is the complete contained idea in one drawing or a series of drawings of like, where are the touch points? What does this look like? How does this fit into someone's life? And then, oh my God, there's prototyping. There's so much prototyping, especially when you're doing anything with electronics. Like, things need to be broken out. You say that you want touch sensors in a ring on a belly. That's a curved surface, and you need to have like a flexible PCB to have capacitive buttons, and these are all terms that you'll learn the more you do these things. But like, it's not as easy as your quick drawing that you did. So this is testing the curve of touch-sensitive buttons. These are getting the lenses to work for the light to look right. This is just testing the backpack, which was a second idea that came onto the project after originally designed it. Like, how do we get a backpack that goes on and off that the kid's not going to eat? Then there's more prototyping. Cool. Next version of it. Let's try to get it all like really nasty in one housing. We sent the design off to a prototyper, so we at least had the shell of it based on our 3D models. They got it in the office, and now we're hacking together the inside this way we can close it up and get someone to use it, put it in front of people and test it. And eventually, you get a real thing out of it. So this was part of their Kickstarter video showing off all the interaction points. I don't know how to do motion graphics, but I think this GIF is kind of dope, and I'm putting it on my website. So yeah, that's basically what we do. It's nowhere near as linear as it just seemed there. There's always jumping back a little bit and finding out something new or running into a new problem and having to solve for it. So what we're going to do here, we're going to brainstorm. So we're going to I'm going to pick a topic. I was going to have a bowl, but I'm just going to pick it. We're going to break into teams of 4, just very quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, remember your number, break into teams. You're going to go over there. You're going to share your notes about the topic with your team. And then when you meet with your team, you're going to work on putting on one large drawing very quickly. It does not matter who. Pick someone who's going to draw the thing and adapt the ideas of your teammates. Please listen to them. Please feel free to talk to your teammates. Don't worry about being precious about it. Just get something on paper. Then we're going to have 2 teams presenting to each other. A few minutes of presenting, a few minutes of critique, then the opposite. You'll go back into your team, fix the designs considering the comments that you had from the other team, and then you're going to present to a larger section of the class. And then that's it. Also, I'll be hanging out afterward if you guys have questions. There's like swag up front if you want to take that, and also a business card if you had some.
Can you explain to me, this is what you do in real life at your
yeah.
This is not like just a school exercise.
This image here is like us doing this. We're going over the kickoff for a new product, and we're going to need to hear examples from everyone. There are electrical engineers here, mechanical engineers, industrial designers. There are interns. There are people who are just like do the business part of our office who are there because everyone is bringing to the table experiences that can improve upon the design, and that's why it's important to listen to everyone and get them in the conversation early. So yeah, we're replicating something that we actually do in the office. I wouldn't just come here to waste your class time. Any questions before we jump into it? I know there's a lot.
Yes, my students came here a bit late with just the first part. How much of what you're saying is patented or inventions, quote, inventions? How does one define an invention from a development which is or is not patented? Where does that your work fall into these categories?
Right, so especially in America, patent is like a really like itchy trigger finger word for companies, and they're like, oh no, like how much can I actually talk to you about this? I know that we're good people, but like the people coming to us straight off the street don't know that. So there's a non-disclosure agreement in the beginning so that they can feel comfortable telling us about their idea. And then at the end of the project, everyone signs away basically. It's in my contract that the company is signing away my rights to the patent that I helped design, and the client leaves with that. But that's kind of the price you pay. I get to work on a lot of fun stuff versus going into one company and only working on one thing for years and years and years. Like the iPhone stuff that we showed, there's someone who works for 2 years before any iPhone is released, just working on like when we had a home button, the home button. And so I find that much more boring, and I'd rather do all the fun stuff of doing a bunch of projects.
So are the end products patented?
The end products, if there is something that is completely unique, that is patentable, then we recommend to the client that they do go and patent it, and then that's something that they keep. There are smaller, different like trademarks and stuff like that that you can do that's less than a patent but still protects you. But yeah, that's more for the lawyers to figure out. I just know that like none of the work that I do is going to be mine, but I'm excited to put something out there and get paid for it. That's going to be better. So yeah, if there's questions like that, we can get to it after. I'm going to hang out to eat, but also answer those questions. And if you have more still, business cards are on the table. Email me. It's all cool.
Just before we break up, if you don't mind following up on that, for students as a career potential, if they're interested in something like this,
Yeah.
what should be their education path, and perhaps what is their future economic remuneration?
Okay, so I'll just go based on like what I did and then what other people could do if they're a little later on pivoting. I went, fortunately, straight from high school into a design school knowing what that major was and that I wanted to do it. There were other friends of mine who had done a couple years of college somewhere else and then switched into the major because it's usually something you don't hear about for a while. And then with my undergrad, I went straight into working, which I found was great. Even though the undergrad was really expensive and I'm still paying it off, there are cheaper undergrads than Parsons, and you can go straight into the field with the skills that you have, and you can just start working. If you want to freelance, you can freelance, although that's a level of hustle I'm just like not about. Or you can go and work at a consultancy and apply your ideas. So basically, the last 3 years I've been working at Tomorrow Lab, this has been my master's program. Like, instead of going and theoretically talking about making a thing for 2 or 3 more years, I've just been out there making things, which I think is a lot better to walk away with at the end of that time. I have a portfolio of things that are real. Yeah, as far as someone else who's switching over later, yeah, I don't think there's any like ridiculous math or English requirements to switch over to the school. Your grades just have to be good. They're going to ask for a portfolio for a design school specifically. And as long as you have that prepared and you can speak well about why you're interested and what your passion is, I think they'll be willing to like take you into the class. And then it's just a matter of applying yourself for the many, many hours of making things. Yeah, so last note, Parsons is an art school. I did 1 semester of art classes right before Parsons just to make my portfolio to be able to apply. I'm pretty sure, even though I had some skill at that time, I mostly got in on like the grades that I had. But there are people who were completely on the other side of that, where they had amazing portfolios and like not great grades, and they also got in. So it's really like the grand total of what you're bringing to the table, not really one or the other. Okay, is everyone out there? Hi, you people. What number? Do you forget your numbers?
Where's the other?
Huh? 3. 3 is over here. Hey, 3. This side. You use both sides of the table. It's cool. Well, yeah, he's ready to go. I see that.
Where's the other one?
Okay, so the item that we're going to be... The item we'll be trying to fix is the alarm clock. Now, all y'all have an alarm clock on your phone, so why the hell does someone need an alarm clock? And that's exactly what you're going to figure out. What can the thing that you're fixing do better than the alarm clocks that are sold separately and are on the market now, and do better than what's on your phone? What are you missing from that experience? So one example that I saw recently is there's an alarm clock that would like run. If you press snooze twice, it pops up, rolls away like a little BB-8, and still blares the alarm and won't turn off until you get up out of bed, grab it, and put it down. So like that level of weird possibly about like what do you want in this product. And so take a few minutes, don't really talk, just on your own, on a post-it note, think about what that could be or what your problems are, and then I'm gonna tell you in like 2 minutes when to talk to your team about it. And then start shouting off what those initial ideas were, and then trying to boil down what are a few of those ideas you want to put into one object. And then start sketching, and let the sketches be bad. You can have a section of it that are a bunch of tiny sketches, but make sure you have one large one for when you present to another team.
So I was thinking like voice acting makes it actually like get out of bed. So I guess I'm like to go grab my phone.
Yeah, I said that.
Then I'll go to like the next one.
I said that. The one is hard to do. Yeah, but that, honestly, that is, I don't think
Voice activating, like once you start speaking, so you like
Something installed on the wall.
feel like we could reach a little bit. When you say you're oversleeping, throws water on you.
Throws water in it. It's kind of similar to what I was thinking. I said that it's very citrus and it makes coffee.
I'm gonna do a word shade.
Citrus makes coffee and has like a gradual increase of light as well, in addition to sound.
So that's what you gotta fill with water?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that right here. Like, or you can just connect it. You're not using screw the little tab.
Loud and proud.
19. A puzzle might be solved to help snooze the alarm clock, so you have to be more awake to solve the puzzle.
All right, yeah. I mean, I think there are definitely some mornings that I need that where I'm like, snooze. Especially when it's a phone, it's just a touch screen, I just slap it, whatever. So yeah, puzzle. What do you got?
I said an alarm clock that senses movement so that it'll continue ringing until it senses that you're getting out of bed. And then it'll stop.
Okay, cool. And I know some simple sensors that can be used to do that. So that is achievable. What do you got?
Voice activated has simulated motion, so it decides you up, stops, and sound that you like to look up to. So it's really nice.
Yeah. Sweet. So multiple sound options. I think that's an important thing for the alarm clocks that are sold in stores. Mostly, maybe if they have 1 or 2 alarms, but your phone has as many as it wants to pull from the internet. So how do you get more options on there? What do you got?
Well, I was thinking of doing like mood sensors, so like it can like somehow detect like if you went to bed like in a bad mood, like how you would want to get up, or like depending on how much sleep you get, like something like for the like really algorithm based, where like it would be like you need a happy song this morning, so I'm gonna play you this.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, I think with working with some kind of cell phone or something that you're carrying on you, it can know more. But like my phone knows when was the last time you opened up the screen. If that was at 2 a.m. and you're waking up at 6, you probably feel pretty crappy and like you don't have enough sleep. So sensing things like that, working in tandem with maybe some other smart objects could do that. All right, but now you guys put something on paper. Do tiny, crappy scribbles, and then one like big one that you're going to present to another team. Everyone will be equally bad at drawing. Just do tiny scribbles right now, and then the big one behind it.
I did, right? Because it's a microwave.
Are you doing drawing now? I'm doing it like.
Everyone can do one. I mean,
Yeah, everyone has to do one.
I mean, it can be shaped like that, like a square
How to?
like flat on the surface.
You do one.
But music would be valid too. Or just write like FM.
So you could
YKTV.
You can have like a little button right here.
On the screen, I think you should get
Like have like a something button.
Nah, one has to be like a power, one has to be like, you know, like a settings, switch the time. Alright, so now you gotta make one more like
it
this.
could be touch.
Yeah,
We don't need buttons. We can do touch screen.
So when you connect it here, it kind of syncs up to your phone.
Like it'll like say reminder, homework, whatever it's on.
Yeah, like you were saying.
It's just scribbles and
You're
stuff.
right. Just get it out. You can talk about it.
Just like switch your phones. So like
You want to take several and just draw whatever.
I'm gonna try and attempt. So which one? I'll just pick out.
Instead of like you could say like it could be different things. Like if some people like want to put on a it could be like a type of tree shape and the light too.
You just grab one and so I can start drawing that one. I'll grab one.
You gotta be kind of versatile.
Maybe like the
Alright, so
or something.
Have a little back.
I think it was fine the way you had it before.
That's what I'm saying. You could do that.
Just find out the first one.
I'm gonna do a big one right now.
They don't have to like.
And the more the merrier, right?
Man.
So like we're showing
How we feeling? It's quiet over here. Good.